It's back to school time in St. Louis, and we'll have more next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. Well, Monday, August 11th, is a big day for a lot of people in St. Louis, particularly kids, well, and their parents too. It's back to school time. And we'd like to welcome now Patrick Wallace. Patrick is the Executive Director of Communications for the St. Louis Public Schools. Patrick, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on.
Now, it's been a long time since I used to worry about back to school day, but I remember it well, a pretty big day for most people.
It's a big day. August 11th is a day we've had marked on our calendar since we approved the calendar last winter.
And I don't know, would it be better, I shouldn't ask you this, would it be better to go to school year-round, do you think?
Probably would be actually better for students learning. There wouldn't be any summer loss, but that's a tough thing to do, especially at the high school level with sports and jobs and things like that.
And parents like to go on vacations, and so just an idea I float out there. And I wouldn't have liked it either, really.
No, as a student, probably not, but.
You have an event that the school district has sponsored for a long time, and it's called Back to School and Community Empowerment Festival, and that's coming up on Saturday, August the 2nd. What's the history of that event?
Well, the history of it started out at our schools, and it was developed and created to put in the minds of parents and students it's time to get ready to go back to school. And it started to outgrow the schools. We had long lines around the buildings. When we're doing it in August, it's hot outside, and so we look for a venue like Chaffetz Arena, where we've been now this will be our 5th year, to where we can get all the people inside. You know, the thing holds 10,000 people, and they can be air conditioned while they wait for their turn to go down and visit the vendors on the floor. But it's just an event that we have every year to help our students and our parents get in their minds that it's time to get ready to go back to school.
And the last couple of years, at least, you've co-sponsored it with the Metropolitan Urban League.
Yes, we have great partners with Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis and the Community Empowerment Organization. So we've kind of combined. They used to have a festival, I believe, as well, and they joined with us so we can put on one huge festival. So we have things on the inside of the Chaffetz Arena, and then they bring events to the outside of the arena. We have entertainment, we have go-karts, we have bounce houses, we have lots of things for kids to do other than academic type stuff.
Bounce houses?
Bounce houses for little kids.
That's a new one on me.
Petting zoo, there's all kinds of fun things.
Well, what's a bounce house?
Bounce is a big blow-up thing that
Right.
kids bounce around in.
Right.
Yeah, so we have activities outside, actually on the campus of Harris Stowe, right across the street from the Chaffetz Arena, is our outdoor activities, and the go-karts are in the streets. And then we have a stage with entertainment. So we have a lot going on outside the arena for folks outside, and then of course in the air conditioning inside the arena we have stuff.
We'll talk more about those particular events in a little bit. Patrick, you mentioned something about why it's important to, I guess, get kids and their parents' attention that school's about to start again. Why is that important?
Well, our message to parents and students alike is that it's important to be in school on the first day and every day. St. Louis City has struggled in the past. It's been a challenge to get kids to come to school on the first day of school. They kind of filter in between, the time we start and Labor Day, and then by Labor Day they kind of all have gotten there. But we need to change that mindset, and we work very hard to do that every year, and that's the main purpose of the festival, is to get the parents and the students thinking about, in their minds and on their calendars and in their hearts.
Put it on the radar
starting.
screen.
Yeah, and get it on their radar, because they all kind of get away, do their own thing in summertime, and that's great to have some downtime and relax and have fun, but we have to get back to business of educating students on August 11th.
Well, let me play devil's advocate, if I can.
Sure.
So what if you miss a day or two the first week? What's a day or two?
Well, a day or two, they add up. Again, every day you're not there, a student's not there, as a day they're not learning. So if you miss some days, then the teacher might have to slow down to let you catch up, or the further you get behind, you may never catch up. You kind of look at it like doing a chore. If you put it off and put it off and put it off, it becomes that much of a bigger animal to tame once you get around to doing it. So it's really important from our aspect that students are there the first day and every day as much as we can get them there.
Let's deal with a little bit of numbers if we can. So, okay, St. Louis Public Schools. How many schools do we have?
We have just over 70 schools, so I like to say we have a school that will meet any student's needs. We educate about 27,000 students in preschool through 12th grade. We just expanded our preschool program over the last couple of years under Dr. Adams, creating great options, way of doing things. And so we've added from 1,300 preschool seats to just about 2,200. So we have a lot more children attending preschool, which then gets them prepared for kindergarten and beyond.
How do all those charter schools fit in? Are they in different categories? And I really don't know, so I'm really curious. And tell me if I'm wrong. I was under the impression maybe some charter schools are affiliated with the school district and some aren't. Am I mixed up?
Charter schools are basically public schools, but they're not part of the St. Louis Public School District. There is a little confusing because the district does sponsor a charter school, the Career Construction Center, but it's not part of our district. But charter schools are independent of the public schools, but they are public schools. They're not part of our district. But they are for students who live in St. Louis City, and they're allowed to have an option of going to a charter school or to a
So the numbers you just quoted, that
Those
does
are
not
just St.
include
Louis
the
Public School
charter
District,
schools.
right.
Uh-huh.
Charter schools are about, I want to say, between 8,000 and 10,000 students also go to charter schools.
And anyone could do that?
If you live in the city of St. Louis, you are entitled to obviously a free public education. So you can choose a St. Louis Public School District school, or you have many options with the charter schools that are
How
out
many
there.
charter schools are there, do you know?
I don't know how many there are out there, but again, I think it's between 8,000 and 10,000 students that attend charter schools.
Okay. Well, school starts August 11th, whether you go to a city school or a charter school, right?
I assume their schools start the 11th
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
Let's talk about some of the issues involved in, and I think they're all covered in this Back to School Community Empowerment Festival, which is coming up on August the 2nd. But let's talk about transportation, getting kids to school. They can walk, their parents can take them, there are buses. What are the issues there?
Well, with 27,000 students, we have about 20,000 of those students who qualify for transportation on our big yellow taxi, as we call it, the school bus. So the issues are, especially if one of the main functions of the festival is if a parent and their child or children have moved over the summer, relocated to a different address, they may be going to a different school, they may have a different bus stop, obviously. So we have all of our transportation and enrollment people at the festival to where parents can come in and check their address, check their bus stop, check the times of the bus, and denote any changes that have happened over the summer so we can make sure that on the first day, August 11th, that they have their child at the right bus stop at the right time and they're going to the right school.
That's important.
It's very
Do
important.
people get mixed up? I mean, you know, if I can see if maybe a family moves in the summer, they don't even think about the school district.
Right.
It might not even cross their mind that their kid's going to go to a different school, and then August 11th rolls around. Does that happen? Do you have kids showing up sometimes at the wrong schools?
Oh,
And
sure.
Is that confusing?
We get on the wrong bus or go to the wrong school. Yeah, it's organized chaos, so to speak, on that first day. But that's a lot of children. 27,000, a lot of little bodies to move around. So, yeah, we have it. But we've done this for St. Louis Public Schools has been in business for over 100 years. So we've kind of got understanding of how to make it work. And you just you don't get too rattled when something doesn't work right. We have to work with the parent to make sure that they get their child to the right bus stop, to the right school, and we try to welcome them no matter if they show up at the wrong school. Then we just get them to the right school. But yeah, parents don't think about those things a lot of times. They
Right.
have so many other things going on in their worlds.
Which is why this fair is sort of
Yeah.
an important thing. And how do parents know about this fair? You were talking about how great the attendance is.
Yeah, we get between 10 and 15,000 counting adults at the festival. We send a letter to all of our families that attend St. Louis Public Schools. We send them a couple of letters over the summertime, and inside those letters we have a flyer about the festival. We robocall our parents, automated phone call our parents, let them know about the festival. We advertise it on TV, radio, and newspaper. We send a back-to-school newspaper that gets to the parents' house the week before the festival. So just another way, and it's a front page story of the festival. So we try to get the word out as many ways, do great opportunities like this show to do it.
What about the whole issue of getting parents involved, interested in the schools and what the children are doing? I'm sure that's just an ongoing mission that you have, because no matter how well you're doing, there are always other people that you need to reach, right?
Yeah, and each of our schools, we have a position called a family community specialist, and that person's job is to be the conduit between the school and the parent. So their job, full-time job, is to work with the parents of that particular school to try and get them involved in PTO, to make sure that they're informed about what's going on. Those folks will all be at the Back to School Festival volunteering and working at the festival as well.
I think you've been working for the St. Louis Public Schools for, is it like 7 years or
This will
something?
be my 7th festival,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, since you've been there 7 years, just what's your outlook on how we're doing with our schools here? I'm sure you've seen some progress, things change. 7 years is long enough that you can see change and
Oh, yes.
improvement. So what have you noticed in those 7 years?
Well, I think the first thing, we're very, very fortunate to have the superintendent that we have. He came, this will be his 7th year as well. He came shortly after I
That's
was
Kelvin
here.
Adams.
Dr. Kelvin Adams. He's very laser focused on providing a good education for our students based on data. It's not what we think or what we feel, it's what does the data show. And he has turned the district around. We are moving in the right direction. We regained provisional accreditation under Dr. Adams and the Special Administrative Board. We've improved our early childhood offerings, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. We have more seats for kids to come to early childhood because we know it's important that they start getting educated at 3 and 4 years old, so by the time they get to kindergarten, they're not behind everybody else. We've done a lot of improvement in technology under Dr. Adams. So we are moving in the right direction. We're nowhere near, and he would be the first to tell you, and he's a hard guy to please when it comes to that. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but it is a much different district today than it was 7 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's no secret that over the years, St. Louis schools have had their issues and things. So Dr. Adams knew all this coming in, because I guess he knew he had his work cut out for him when he took it, so he must like a challenge, I guess.
He must like a challenge. He's a pretty competitive guy. He's as I mentioned, he's a no-nonsense guy. I mean, I like to tell the story. The first day he came into his cabinet, his team leaders, the very first thing he said to us, I always remember this because obviously I was in that meeting, and he said, you know, all of you can go get another job. You have a resume, you can get another job. But all of the kids who are in our district in 3rd grade, they only get one shot at it. And if you don't think we can make this the best 3rd grade year for them and pick any grade, then you probably should find another job.
Wow. Is it difficult, and I think it would be, to like measure success in what we're talking about and what you guys do? And how do you measure your success?
Well, I think we measure success in a few ways. One of them is obviously the state test scores is one way we measure but that's only one measurement. We look at enrollment, we look at attendance, we look at the success of our graduates. We have very successful high school graduates, although some people don't understand that, but we have very successful high school graduates who go on to Ivy League schools. For the first time in 20 years or so, we had an increase in enrollment over the last couple of years, which the St. Louis district hasn't seen in, like I said, more than 20 years. So that's one way of measuring. We hope that parents are starting to feel better about the school district, staying in the city and sending their kids to our schools. And we know academically we're seeing some growth. And that's why we received provisional accreditation back from being an unaccredited district. And we're not stopping there, obviously. We continue to strive to have better academic outcomes.
And one of the ways you do that is through this festival.
Yeah.
Try to get the ball rolling. We'll talk more about that in a minute. We need to take a break, though. We're talking about back to school time in St. Louis and how parents and kids can get a better handle on that. We'll be back with more right after this.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. Our guest today is Patrick Harris. He's the Executive Director of Communications for the St. Louis Public School System. And there's a date on your mind. That's Monday, August the 11th.
Monday, August 11th, first day of school. Yeah, circled in big red colors on my calendar.
Do you do like have one of those clocks to do the countdown?
We should, but no, we don't do that.
Well, there's something that the St. Louis School District is doing in conjunction with the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and that's this fair on Saturday, August the 2nd. And just sort of to recap, Patrick, it's all about, you know, you were saying that that date's in your mind. You want that date to be in the minds of parents also.
Absolutely. We want students and parents, maybe the students to pester their parents to bring them to it. But it's a great event, again, co-sponsored by the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis.
At Chaffetz Arena.
It's at Chaffetz Arena from 9 to 12. Just all kinds of information for parents and students. We have school supplies for them, free lunch for everybody who comes down, outside activities, you know, for the kids to enjoy. Just a 9 to 12. It's not a long time. It's a Saturday morning. But again, the idea is to get in parents and students' minds that we're at that point in time, we're only 9 days away from the first day of school.
To put it in their mental calendar.
Yes,
and
sir.
the point you made in the first segment was because you have a problem sometimes with kids not showing up on the first day, maybe that whole first week, they kind of
They
trickle
kinda
in, and that's not a good
so
thing.
It's not a good thing, and we want, again, our message to parents and students is we need you there the first day and every day because we want to help you learn. We can't teach you if you're not there, so
Right.
we really want them in class every day.
Okay, well, we've still got a lot to talk about. But I want to talk about your tie, because I didn't notice until we took that last break. I sort of focused in on your tie, and I see a theme there.
It's a school tie. I have amassed quite a collection of ties. I find when I go, especially to the elementary schools, the kids love the ties.
Now, these are like, I don't know, cars and buses taking kids to school.
School
to stop
bus, yep.
sign, right?
Yeah.
But do you have a collection of these?
I have quite a few ties that I like to wear, especially when I know I'm going to go to an elementary school.
What are some of the other ones?
Soccer balls, baseballs, Mickey Mouse, Dr. Seuss, just quite a few different ties.
Well, tell me a little bit about your job as Executive Director of Communications, because I thought probably you're just the guy that writes the press releases, comes on shows like this. But you just now made a reference to talking to kids.
Oh, yes. There's all kinds of things that we do out of my area of communications. We oversee the website. We take care of the social media. I help principals with letters when they need to write a letter home. If something happens at a school, they need to communicate. Automated phone calls. You know, the parents will recognize the voice because I'm on automated phone calls
you are?
a lot. Yes.
Well, let's talk about the website, and you said social media.
Social media.
How do you use that?
Well, we have, you know, especially when you have young children, preschool, first, second, third grade, the parents are pretty young, and that's you and I are kind of a different generation than those folks. So they're more into Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, which is kind of foreign to me, but I've learned about it.
What are those things? No,
yeah,
I'm
all
kidding.
those social media. So we need to communicate with parents where they are. So we can't just do emails. We can't just do letters home. We look at different ways to communicate with parents because we want to make sure they get the information that's important to them. So we send out tweets every day. We post on Facebook.
Really?
We send photos of our students and of activities on Instagram. So we're just trying to reach out to our parents and our students because the students are on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, well, how many, do you know numbers? I mean, how many parents are on, are half of adults doing that now, or what?
The research shows that the younger, under 30, are really into Twitter and Instagram, and over 30 is more Facebook. We know how many followers we have, and we keep adding followers every day. And again, we encourage, a real funny little story was last winter when we were having all the snow days, the superintendent has a Twitter account as well. And so we would say, well, the first way we're going to announce schools are going to be closed is on Twitter with the district and the superintendents. So the superintendent's followers like tripled in a week. And the students would be posting tweets on there begging him to call off school. So the interaction between the superintendent and the students was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was always exciting for me when school would be called off because of the weather. You know, for a kid, you'd love it. Is that a headache for you and administrators? Is that ever a problem? You never know how many days you're going to miss because of weather, and you know, what do you do at the end of the year? And I guess there are legal
174
there are legal things you
days.
have to do, and so I don't know.
174 days. When my children were growing up and going to school and wanting to have a snow day, I'm like, you can have a snow day, but you're going to go 174 days. No matter if you go in January or June, you're going to go 174 days.
So that's the way it works.
There's a
You
state
just make up
law.
the days at the end of the year, no matter how long it takes.
Well, we build into our calendar 6 days at the end of the year to make up. But then, depending on when the snow days happen, if they happen, we can pick a professional development day or another day that they were going to be off in the spring semester and make up a day there, because the objective is, if we can, to have the last day of school be the Friday before Memorial Day, if we can, because then we get ready for summer school, so we don't have but a week off before we start summer school. So we try to make up those days if we have to, but that is for our superintendent, and I'm on the phone with him at 4:30 in the morning on those days. Those are the toughest decisions, because you obviously don't want to put a child in danger. But if it's clear enough for the streets for them to come to school, you don't want to miss school either.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and I just want to talk about that for a little bit. This time of year, nobody's thinking about that,
Right.
because those missed days happen over the winter months. But sometimes I hear people complaining about it, like I'm sure you heard it, like they called off school today, and when I was young, we would have made it to school that day.
And they're right,
But
because there weren't 20,000 students riding buses when we were young, which there are now.
everybody walked to school. at one
Everybody
point.
walked to school. It's a different animal now, so to speak. So
And you have to be extra careful, because you put kids on a bus on a snowy day and something bad happens, guess who's going to get blamed?
Oh yes. The other thing you have to take into account is, depending on what the weather's like, how many kids are going to come to school, how many bus drivers are going to come to work. If the bus drivers don't come to work and the buses don't get out, you've got a problem.
Right.
So you have to take all that into factor, all that in when you're trying to make a decision. It's and you're going to lose either way. 50% of the people are going to be for you, and 50% are going to be against you, whatever decision you make. So the superintendent and the transportation folks get together, and they make the decision based on, independently of what other school districts are doing, we make our decision based on what the conditions are. Can we get a child to school safely?
Okay, so the first day of school is coming up Monday, August the 11th.
Yes, sir.
So what do you guys, I guess you have the whole summer off too, right? And you probably go to
Oh,
the
sure,
beach somewhere?
no. No, I work year-round. Most of us, non-teachers, work year-round in central office.
What do you do?
Well, you prepare for the next year, and I do a lot of website updating and preparing communication issues that we're going to have throughout the year, catching up on other things. In the schools, we use the time when the kids are out of school to clean the buildings and do some of our facility updates that the bond issue money that the voters gave us 4 years ago. We're finishing up on that this summer. So adding technology, we've added like $7 million worth of technology over the last 5 years to our schools. So we use the summertime to kind of get the schools back in shape, ready for the first day on August 11th.
Monday, August the 11th. We keep repeating that, but it's a good reason.
Can't say it enough.
So let's talk about the event right before schools reopen on the 11th. We're talking Saturday, August the 2nd. That's at Chaffetz Arena at St. Louis University from 9 a.m. until noon. It's the Back to School and Community Empowerment Festival, which is sponsored by the City of St. Louis Public Schools and with the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis. And it's really just, I guess, a carrot and a stick to get parents and kids to come down and have some fun, all the while reminding them about Monday, August the 11th.
Yeah, it is a fun event. Again, the outside activities are fun, and it's a way, again, for them to check their address, their bus stop, their enrollment, make sure they're in the right school, check about immunizations, make sure they have the right shots before school starts. A lot of things can be one-stop shopping, so to speak.
Okay, there are a lot of elements involved in this fair on Saturday, August the 2nd. Let me just run down them and see what you have to say.
Sure.
School supplies.
School supplies, while they last, and we've never ran out.
You give them away.
We give away, because of our sponsors. We have other sponsors other than Urban League. We have St. Louis Community Credit Union and Ameren and the Missouri Lottery. They provide money so we can purchase school supplies to give to the
Like
students.
we're talking pencils and paper.
Yeah,
and-
we have a little bag of schools, we have a list of what they need, so it'd be pencils, crayons, erasers, paper, notebook, all kinds of things. So yes, school supplies, very, very popular item.
And family resources.
Family resources, we have, again, more than somewhere between 100 and 200 vendors that can talk to parents and students about anything from how to get a library card to how to get help paying your gas and electric bill. We have a senior center at the event for senior citizens in the St. Louis community. We have a special room, a special location for new Americans, folks who don't speak English, so they can get indoctrinated into the system.
That's got to be tough to have people that aren't fluent in the language and then involved in the school system. Wow.
Right, and so we have a special location just for them with translators, and they're very loyal. I mean, I can remember when we had the fair years ago at Gateway Complex, they walked down Grand Avenue. I mean, you see them walking down Grand Avenue. They're very loyal to the schools.
Okay, with all this important stuff, you're also having fun. There are games and rides and things?
Yeah, we have, it can't all be, it can't be all hard work.
No.
So we have a bounce house for kids, we have go-kart rides, we have snow cones, we have a petting zoo, we have all kinds of things for kids to do outside on the grounds of Harris Stowe right across the street from Chaffetz.
You mentioned snow cones. There's other food, so you can eat through the
Free
day.
lunch provided by our food services provider during the school year for Southwest Foods.
What about health screenings?
We have nurses there to meet with parents and go over again their shot records and give them information. If they can't help them right there, then they'll give them information about where they can go to a free health clinic or something like that.
A couple things I want to ask you about, Patrick, that are coming up. We just have a few seconds left, but in the fall, you have a program where you recognize 8th graders?
Yeah, with St. Louis Rotary Club, we have a great partnership with them, the Rotary, and they have an event where we have our 8th graders recognize their monthly meeting. We also have in the springtime, with the Rams as a co-sponsor, we do a scholar athlete luncheon for high school athletes. We've grown that in 3 years from 300 the first year to almost 500 the third year. And those are pretty strict requirements to be a scholar athlete.
Wow, and you have an early childhood program, too.
And we have an expanded early childhood.
Hey,
Lots going on.
I want to ask you just in the couple seconds remaining. You happen to be a St. Louis guy.
I am.
So you grew up in the city.
I actually did.
So I think as a kid in Soulard, back in the 70s,
Yes.
and later somewhere around Tower Grove Park.
Yes.
So now you're working for the city schools. Is that kind of special for you that
really-
you have that connection?
It really is. When I saw the job opening 7 years ago and I went to apply for it, I was doing pretty well where I was at another school district, but it really is kind of special to go back to where you came from. And I do remember real quick in the job interview, because I live in St. Louis County now, but I grew up in the city, and the person asked me, how are you going to address being an outsider? I said, well, I graduated from Roosevelt High School. I don't think I'm an outsider. I know this district.
Oh, great.
So I'm very proud to be a graduate and very proud to work for the district.
And the date we want to remember?
Saturday, August 2nd for the Back to School Festival, and Monday, August 11th for the first day of school.
Patrick Wallace, thanks so much. We'll see you in school.
Thank you.
And you too at home. And be sure and hit the festival and go to the St. Louis Public Schools website for more information. I'm Steve Potter. That's it for this edition of City Corner. Thanks for watching. Do well in school this year.